teams with absolutely everything on the line here. It's going to be Elevate needing points to go to the APAC playoffs to potentially find themselves a spot at the major. Fury, oh God, with 3 points on the line, their first 3 points, any points. Otherwise, they will do the opposite of Direwolves, be the very first team ever to finish a stage with 0 points. 007 is what they will look like at the end. But of course, the most important factor of all is predictions are on the line here. I win or Raven wins. That's all there is to it. Gentlemen, as we look toward Elevate now, they missed out on 8 international opportunities in 2021. Are they about to make it 9 overall in the last 2 years? Xenox, surely not.
No, they'll get this one done. Let's try and put away the fairy tales here. Fury, they have been a bit of a basket case this entire stage. No points, minus 25 round differential, so even in the games that they're losing, they're not close, they're not remotely close. Every other team has been able to beat them and beat them comfortably. If Elevate lose this game, well, obviously they don't deserve to go to the playoffs, right? So you're going to get a fair result here. If they win, they go to playoffs. If they lose, they didn't deserve to go anyway. To completely spell it out, by the way, IG on 11 points, Elevate on 10 points. You can do the math. As long as Elevate win, whether that's OT win or winning in regulation, they go through to the top 4. IG are out. And I don't actually know what the head-to-head is actually IG. So an OT loss is not enough either there. So any lose versus any win. And look, I think for Elevate, the biggest thing is making sure they don't get too much in their heads, Rob, in this kind of game. It's very easy to come into this and think, oh, you know, it's Fury, we're just going to win. They just need to play their own game. So as long as they don't overhype this themselves, they'll be fine.
Guys, any comments, or you want to move to Fury? I'll leave it up to you.
Let's move on. Let's move on to the goats. Let's move on.
Jeez. The donkeys?
The goats.
Oh, the goats. Sorry, the goats.
What did you think I said?
Oh, jeez. Bouncing.
Oh my God, Bouncing subbing in for Fury. I mean, they might actually have a chance to win this game now.
Producer BB. Look, this is a roster that just has not been able to show us enough, guys. I don't know whether you want to lean on that or whether you want to lean on their opportunity that is afoot, but they just have not been impressive enough.
Yeah, they just have not been in the mix at all. And in terms of context for this matchup for Fury, this match quite literally means absolutely nothing for them. They cannot get out of last position because they're trailing by 7 points to wildcard. They're going to have the minimum amount of points heading out of this stage, so relegations for the rest of the year will probably now be looming. So for Fury, this is just rock up. We got to play. It's our obligation. But the thing they can do is really ruin Elevate's day. And I mean, who knows? Maybe that's their motivation heading into this matchup. Obviously, a bit of a rivalry brewing between these two squads dating back quite a long time now, you know, the tie rivalry, if you would. So I think there's still a bit to play for in terms of that regard, but you are right. The season, or the stage rather, as a whole for Fury, incredibly disappointing. So they'll be looking to try and at least get something out of it.
But this is really serious, Xenox. You know, we are talking about the fact that Elevate are now facing a potential miss in playoffs altogether. And Fury are the ones that could deliver it to them. I mean, we've seen this storyline time and time again. A team that we kind of ride off ruins the day of another team.
Look, I actually disagree a little bit there with Guds. I think there is a bit to play for here for Fury. Firstly, they haven't won a game. They haven't even won in OT. So I think, in fact, they haven't even lost in OT, right? So they've got something to fight for. Get a point. Get off that 0 points for your own inner pride, your own inner belief going into stage 2. Also, I'm sure at this point, they'd love to just stop Elevate from going to the playoffs and achieving their goals. So why not play a factor in that, right? If you're not going to be there, try and at least be an influence to the teams that are going to be fighting for that. So for Fury, it's about being competitive. It's about striving for a result and your first result of the stage. So there is a little bit to play for them. Yes, in terms of the actual standings, no. But I think Fury definitely need to treat this game very, very seriously, as if it's there is a lot on the line for them. Because otherwise, Elevate just get a free win, and that's kind of boring.
All right, well, it's time to have a look at the map and decide which Thai team is going to be coming out on top. I feel like it doesn't matter at this point. Villa, in fact, is where we head. Guys, what are we making of this? Do Fury have a hope in hell of taking down Elevate?
I mean, the question is, it poses like that. It's so hard to answer when you look at Fury's results column, right? Because it's just all red. So really, really hard to have takeaways from that. I mean, in terms of their results, they did have a loss against the Knights relatively early on. That was a 1-7. On the flip side, for Elevate, they have played it once in APAC South, a 7-4 against Wildcard. I will say that doesn't fulfill me with the most confidence, considering wildcard unfortunately didn't turn out too great this stage. So in terms of extracting stuff from the results, I mean, it's pretty tough. I don't know if you have more to add, Jake, but I'm really not sensing much of an inkling here.
No, I agree with you. I think in terms of the local region, both teams have played it, and Elevate's had more success locally in Thailand. But obviously, when it comes to APAC South, you can kind of see the team stats here, 1-0, 0-1, which is no surprise for the team that hasn't won a game. Look, it's going to be defender-sided. As long as Elevate sort of get the job done, I'd be almost expecting like a 5-1 defensive half for Elevate and close it out. With just a couple of attacking ground wins, maybe like a 7-3, 7-4 kind of game. I don't think this necessarily favors Elevate, but I don't think they'll be dismayed by this either. So I don't think any team has, say, won the veto here, Rob, but I don't think anyone's lost it either.
Yeah, it's fair. I guess at the end of the day, you know, both teams actually make up 66% of the games played in APAC South, and I think if we're just going off form, it is really hard to kind of talk about even just the potential of Fury kind of bringing this into the realm of any point of discussion.
Yeah.
Guys, do you want to make any final comments before we get underway with this one? I feel like this is a pretty clear-cut one. The thing, I think, yeah, I know. The thing that changes this entire conversation is the fact that obviously there are huge implications on the line, and we have seen Elevate choke before. That's really, I think, the only kind of small little percentage that you give Fury at this point.
Look, if it was anyone but Elevate playing this match, I'd be sitting here with 110% confidence saying it's over. Like, I'm just going to, I don't know, I'll walk away, I'll start playing my next ranked game or whatever. But the fact that it's Elevate, and we saw last year they have a propensity to just absolutely fall in a heap under any form of pressure, is a concern. That said, Fury are so far behind the rest of the teams in the league that it's very, very tricky to sit here and say with confidence that Fury are a decent shout. I mean, I just picked them for the lols because it makes for a good storyline.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you know what, we'll move away.
Quickly, Rob?
Oh, God, here we go, quickly, because he's DC'd.
Are you good, or am I feeling here?
No, we're done. We're done.
I just wanted
good.
to say, I had to quickly Google what propensity is. I've never heard guys use that word before. It's an inclination or natural tendency to behave in a particular way, which is what Elevate do indeed do when it comes to qualifying.
Thanks.
Thank you
I'm back. You can't silence me. You can't silence me.
I'm so glad
Fury.
that you just made a great point, Xenox. That was unbelievable. Actually, just so profound in its nature.
Elevate's going to win 7-2.
Oh, you know what? Enough tomfoolery here. It's time to throw it over to the Birdman and the Devil.
Yeah, look, thanks, Xenox. You learn something new every day. So let's get into the game. It is the final match of APAC South for Stage 1, and believe it or not, we do have some serious stakes on this match, Raven. Elevate are not locked for playoffs. They have to win. In fact, they have to get at least 1 point from this game against the team that has yet to find a point all stage long. If Direwolves are undefeated, then Fury are unwinned. They haven't won anything, and they have not won a single match in APAC South since getting picked up by the new organization. Time for Elevate to do a nice clean sweep and make playoffs.
That's right. A lot on the line here for Elevate, and I guess conversely, not as much for Fury. If anything, just trying to save themselves from a completely pointless stage. Pointless as in 0 points, not like pointless as in they shouldn't have played. But regardless, it's a bit of a saving face for Fury on this one. I think Elevate are going to be going very hard though. And again, the boys kind of prefaced it a little bit on the desk. This map veto, Villa is a pretty strong map for Elevate. Fury have not performed well on Villa in the one attempt that they had this stage. So I think a lot of things will have to happen in Fury's favor for them to kind of really be able to have a shot at this one.
Yeah, to win a defense round on this map are Fury. I just saw Guz linked a tweet from Speakeasy of Invictus. All caps, #1 Fury fan right now. The only way that IG can still make playoffs is if Fury break their losing streak and do away with Elevate in regulation. Elevate will come away with 0 points and get out. Look at that, Fury banning out Onigiri, or should I say Aruni. The infamous DMR machine on Onigiri, he no longer has that on defense, so a bit of a shame. But hey, Fury, throw whatever you have at the wall. See what you can do. This is one of the most, in theory, one-sided matches that we've seen all stage. Time for Fury to just get in there and mess things up.
Yeah, look, there is definitely something to be said about a team that is in that position. We've seen it many times before in all facets where a team that kind of has nothing to lose, nothing to gain either, they just kind of go all out. They play a completely different play style. And the reason that's dangerous and also exciting to watch is A, it can be quite entertaining because it's not very traditional, but B, it throws out the preparation your opponent has done for the most part because, for example, maybe setups are different, or you might do the same setup, but maybe you play it completely different. So it means that whatever preparation you've had in terms of how to approach this team's playstyle is, it's just not something you can use anymore. So I think if Fury do that, I think that's definitely their win condition. Like, I think they just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks.
Nothing to gain, nothing to lose. For Elevate, everything to gain, everything to lose. And that distinction is going to rattle through this match. Now, Elevate here, I learned a new word today, believe it or not, Raven, and I'm going to use it in this sentence. Elevate have a propensity to lose important matches. We've seen it time and time again. In 2021, I'm pretty sure it was 9 opportunities that Elevate had where they were sitting on a match point that could well have sent them to a major or a 6 invitational. And every single time they fell, very frequently against Invictus. Now they eventually made it to the 6 invitational regardless, thanks to SI points they got in stage 1 when there was no land to go to. And man, they really turned it up once they got there. They're going to be gunning for that major spot now that they've made a name for themselves on the global stage.
And this feels like it's about to be a bit of a go button moment because we have a lot of Elevate players stacked here, and that it is. DCH just goes in as the blitz. He doesn't save on Agiru though. Like, Colas actually picks him up before to be destroyed by DCH. Producer Boom also taken down, at least traded by Hajime. Absolute chaos here, Dev, at the end of that first minute. It's brought us to this 3 versus 3.
Nothing gets me going quite like a blitz rush. You absolutely love that. And within 1 minute, top main stairs control has been gained for the attacking side. Significant blows have been dealt to both the attack and defense. A 3v3 now, and Elevate, I mean, they can be pretty happy with this position, and another pick is going to make this just further the advantage. Only Spacehead left. He's forced to stand still. 1.5 minutes for him to wait out as Mark puts that diffuser down on the ground. The P10 Roni, and it's 16 bullets. Oh, that's going to be pretty tough to take down the blitz. DCH is good for another one. That's one way to start a match.
Certainly is. Almost feels like Elevate have kind of read into what Fury might try and do in terms of that, throw everything at the wall, see what sticks. And Elevate have said, okay, we can do that too. And they've gone for this insane kind of blitz play, and it's worked out tremendously. Coordinated fairly well. I think the only hiccup was really losing on Onigiri in that opening engagement, but outside of that, it was a good round to Elevate to start this one off.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
The phrase "kick them while they're down" comes to mind when you see Elevate playing a blitz against Fury, who have yet to find a single point on the standings. I just mention again, like we've talked about this a lot this season, but I'm just going to bring it up again. It'll give some context, and hopefully, especially hopefully for Rob, because I know Rob really wants Fury to win because he'll actually overtake you on the predictions and win, be the predictor champion of stage 1, going from last place to first place. But I mean, Fury consistently last year were always a shoo-in for playoffs, but just missed out. 5th place, stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, leading to a 5th place overall. Nowhere near the danger of relegation. They were just consistently average. How do they go from always 5th place to dead last, not even being able to get a point off any other team in the league?
Well, they haven't done a whole lot with their roster, right? And sometimes that's good, but I guess when you phrase it almost exactly how you've done, right? Like they've been consistently average. It's not like other teams don't do work in the off-scene. And I'm not saying Fury haven't done any work, but certainly because of all the other roster changes, it feels like every other team has kind of just done enough to upgrade themselves for 2022, and it just feels like that hasn't happened with Fury. It's really unfortunate to have witnessed because, look, they were a pretty exciting team last year. And sometimes they've had some fairly exciting rounds, a couple of close games where it felt like they had some chances. But, it's just stage 1 has really not been their best siege by far.
Yeah, and on top of that, in this game, we've seen a lot of matches for Fury have had Mopi playing instead of Producer Boom. Now, Producer Boom's back in, but Dark is out, and Mopi is filling in. So once again, not playing with the consistent 5 roster, whereas every other team in APAC South has played with the same roster day in, day out. Onigiri now going to clear this mute jammer. That should enable Hibana's hard breach. There you go. See that mute effect dissipate.
Let's take a look.
Mark can open up that main wall. A very direct attack for Elevate, hitting stat directly from Master.
Sometimes that's good on Villa as well, because you can complicate it a little bit more. You can take map control, but I think especially for this site, there is not a whole lot wrong with going direct. It can get a bit squishy, but that's where they're using Sapper. He's going to have to try and counter pinch to enable an opening. You also got DCH here over on this side of the map, and he's not going to be looking towards Spacehead at 90, but Sapper, he has given Elevate some control of Astro, and this is very critical, and with a whole minute still on the clock, pretty good map control.
Yeah, Elevate's got the read, though, on the player downstairs, and should be a pretty clear-cut round now. Spacehead, 1v4. What's he got for him? Seen him here before. Previous round, he was not able to achieve very much. He wants to confirm the kill. Good on you, mate. Let's see what you can do with the Bailiff now. Maybe reload the MX4 Storm. Bit of a QEP. Oh, what a crisp headshot. That's not a bad one. 28 seconds, that is enough time. If he can land another crisp headshot, this is very much doable. And Spacehead in the past has been known to be such a nutty player, far and away the best on his roster. But he's just stood still for 10 seconds, and upon walking in through the door, Mark shuts him down. Are we on the way to a quick 7-0, Raven?
We might just be. Fury not able to win a defense round on Villa still. Going back to their original loss on this map, they failed to secure a defense round. So it's looking a bit rough so far. Elevate looking very strong out of these first couple of rounds. Spacehead, look, he did a pretty good job bringing that down to a 1v2, to be completely honest. But yeah, unfortunately, a bit of a tough one to bring back. And I think in general, that feels like it's the ethos of Fury stage, right? Bit of a tough one to bring back.
Makes you wonder what happens next season, or next stage rather. And where do Fury go from here? Is it just going to continue being like this? When you're looking at the teams that they would reasonably have a shot at, it'd be teams like Renatus and Wildcard, right? Both of those teams have been doing well recently, you know, on an upwards trajectory we would expect. Fury, not so. Fury have, I mean, this is as bad as Fury has looked all stage long. I know we're only 2 rounds in, but, you know, I'm seeing a second blitz rush here. Oh, no, DCH changes his mind last minute. We had the blitz and lion picked there, and then they decided to reel it in. Fury, it's tough. You know, what can we say for them? What do they need to fix? What needs to be done?
I mean, we've tried to do that all stage, and I really think, like, genuinely believe it's not something that we know of or that we can see. I think there's a lot more to it than that. And sometimes that's the case, you know. We can make guesses, estimates, whatever you want to call it on air, but I think sometimes there are just simply things that we can't know or don't know because we don't get the behind the scenes. So I'm super curious, honestly, just looking forward to stage 2 just to see how things change. You know, if Fury drop back up, or come back up, I should say, into like the middle of the pack, what shake-up that does to the rest of the standings. But at the end of the day, going back to this game, Fury still have a lot of rounds to play. You know, they could still do this. They might get a quick 2 and equalize it, and suddenly this whole conversation could be moot.
I mean, that would be fantastic. And defense is where they've got to do it. Defense is the favored side on this bomb site for most teams.
Bomb located by attackers.
Fury historically struggling. Elevate not letting up. A nade goes on through. Not sure whether that was to clear a mute jammer or that Onigiri thought there was a player in that position. Elevate looking to take top floor control with a bit of pressure downstairs as well. It looks like they're not going for a full top take, however. It's just missed a punch there. So I'm not expecting a full vert clear here for Elevate.
Good approach already from Elevate. And look at that. Just 2 little cheeky Claymore deployments at drone holes. Something about the way that was caught by Mandy, I don't know, felt very satisfying. But anyway, Elevate making really good progress here in towards Memorial. It is Onigiri getting that opening kill onto Lycolis. and so much pressure now put onto those on-site players of Fury. And again, the positioning of Elevate is quite on point here. They're going to be able to really choke out these players on site, and that's it. Sapper just on rails, pushes through, almost gets Spacehead, almost finds 2. Hajime goes down to Mark, and Elevate running over the top of Fury here.
Yeah, Mopi versus 4. 1v3 now. Hope that Elevate don't fall asleep. He now trying to push on in. Diffuser is in kitchen. Sapper, no need to reload. Can hold on. Actually, who has that diffuser? None of these players are holding it at the current time. They're instead going to go for kills. Bit scary. Mopi might not know he's got the down here. This is clutchable. Don't do this, Elevate. Thank God. I mean, that was a 1v4 that could very well have turned up a 1v1, but Elevate lock it in, and that is another very convincing round.
Yeah, yet again though, look, they almost gave that window of opportunity to Fury. Spacehead the previous round, this time it was Mopi. But end of the day, yes, Elevate are really getting themselves into very strong winning positions in these rounds, often in 4v1 situations. I think all 3 rounds actually have kind of ended in that state. So yeah, it's been fairly dominant from Elevate here. Fury really struggling in the initial contact. I think they're not expecting the contact to come at the point it does. And that's honestly just a credit to Elevate's playstyle. I know we've talked about it in previous Playdays, but they really are one of those teams that you have to be super careful. At any moment, they're just going to flip a switch and they'll just come at you. You know, they're not the kind of team that always builds to, you know, a very standard final 30-second kind of execute. Sometimes they'll be there in 90 seconds.
We've talked a lot about Fury. Let's talk a bit about Elevate. It's funny to think after their performance at SI that Elevate is one of the teams that is fighting on the final Playday for their spot in playoffs. And you can really see how hard hit they were by those roster changes. Obviously, the Napu change was one that I believe they intended to do. That was one they wanted to do. But with the Nerix change, that was Nerix's decision to retire from competitive play. So, part and parcel, this wasn't entirely up to them, and I'm sure that they would love to be at the same form that they were when they were beating, the then world champions TSM at 6 Invitational. But how does their playoffs, how does their stage 2 look? If they are able to make it there, what's it going to take for Elevate to get to that point that they were at SI and then exceed it?
I feel like they've been building pretty well this stage. It's always hard to say, but they've felt like they are in... I know the standings don't say it, but I honestly feel like they're starting to be in a better place than they were last year. I mean, SI was kind of an anomaly at that point. Stage 3 fairly disappointing for them. SI standout performance, absolutely incredible. So I feel like if they can really tap into some stronger performances locally here in APAC, or regionally, I should say, here in APAC South, I feel like that's going to translate to even better performances internationally. And it just feels like this core that they have right here, the additions of Mark and Mr. Punch, has been a really good step towards that kind of system for them.
Oh, what an angle there. Spacehead lands that one with the one-time sight. Big player to take out early. Well, a trade comes through, and it looks like Spacehead, no, okay, he's good for a second. That's really, really nice. Now, this is a roam, remember? So Fury have exceeded what they needed to do roaming this side of the map. Need to be careful not to let it get traded back, and Spacehead's good for a third one. This is the Spacehead that we've been waiting for. Finally, he's here. And Fury might be able to get their first Villa defense of stage 1.
Feels like it, certainly in a very winnable position here. 2v4 for Elevate. Makes it very tough. Sapper and Mark, both are very capable players for Elevate to be able to pull off this clutch. And look, they are going to have some pretty decent intel here from Sapper, being able to scan the feet, at least, of his opponents and figure it out. They also have quite a bit of time on the clock. And you can see from these outlines, Fury, they've all dropped back to site. And smart play, to be completely honest, because it's going to make it a lot tougher for these Elevate players.
Oh, wow, what a nade. Lycola's down but not out. Mark had a perfect read and a perfect cook on that nade. Opportunity now for Mark and Sapper. Burning through those ADSs. Smokes go out, baiting out the peak from Study. Mark goes in, wants to plant default. May not realize that he is down the player. Oh no, Mark, no! Oh no! That is so not right. He landed the headshot on his teammate, only to be refragged by the enemy. Sharp shot, though. Credit to him.
Yeah, look, great headshot. As a bit of a comedic way to end the round, but overall, really solid from Fury. Quite frankly, really solid from Spacehead. He single-handedly won Fury that round. It was very solid from him. Absolutely all up in the face of Elevate. And yeah, didn't really give them much of a chance. So there we go. Fury, first defense round on Villa for the stage and for this match. And maybe that's something they can build on here, Dev. Maybe we could see it come back to a 3-3 half, and certainly makes the second half quite interesting.
You're actually riding the copium right now, mate.
Let me ride it, mate. Let me ride it.
I bet you people are saying that I sound super Elevate biased, and you know, maybe I am, but can you blame me? Like, when Fury have yet to find a round, like that was not so bad. It's great if Fury can keep doing that. You know, having Spacehead make these hero plays early in the round, and then having the rest of Fury just lock down and play well in the late round. Then yeah, I reckon Fury can come back. But those first 3 rounds were really pitiful.
It's kind of like what we talked about in the previous match, though.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fairly unsustainable to have to need, you know, one particular player to have that kind of impact to be able to win those rounds. So
I mean, I'm not worried about sustainability for Fury. I'm worried about getting at least 1 point on the board before we go down in history. We could have the very first 21-point stage in APAC South and the very first 0-point stage in APAC South in the same Playday.
that is true. And look, you're right. I think definitely pull out whatever you need, especially today, just to get 6 rounds to even get that single point. But yeah, still a lot ahead of Fury. And of course, Villa. Look, it's gone through a lot of phases in terms of what's balanced, what's not balanced in terms of this map, who's winning on defense, not. At the moment, APAC South is sitting 64% overall for the defense. So that's something. You'd be hoping that Fury would be able to bank in the next couple of rounds here if they're seeking to get to that 6-round mark.
Speaking of Mark, here he is on the balcony. Looks like Elevate once again going to nade over the top. Clear any mute jammers from the wall. And an easy breach should follow. And Patrick would go hard here for Fury if they had more ways to counter Elevate's setup, but really they are just sitting back and waiting for Elevate to do what they wish. Ooh, Twitch drone. Not sure whether it managed to get one of those ADSs, but it was shot in the end. Nade comes over. Doesn't manage to secure the kill as yet. Elevate still in this 5-on-5, and there's a decent chance here for Fury. I mean, Elevate have ticked a lot of the boxes, but if Fury could find a pick here or there, win some of these ones, would go a long way.
Certainly would. And Spacehead, the player of impact in the previous round, he's playing vertically down below, but it is Mark that has come out on top, and there is about to be another engagement. Goes the way of Sapper. It was Hajime on the run in the basement. And unfortunately, that puts Fury in a very difficult position and made only worse by Onigiri here. Still plenty of time on the board, and before I could even throw it back to you, Tev, Fury are just dwindling away, and it literally is all on Spacehead.
All on his shoulders. A C4 blind, finds nothing. We've seen him try 1v4. How about 1v5? A flawless round for Elevate. And, well, Fury's reprieve was very, very short-lived. What a shot there. And what a great round from Elevate. Once again, 4-1 in the lead. And, look, you would not be remiss for mistaking these two teams being in different leagues. Because they well literally are at the moment. Unfortunately, this is not the Fury that we have seen in former Playdays. You know, it sounds harsh to say that, but I really feel like Fury isn't even playing as well as they did against Wildcard. They nearly pushed overtime. It was a 5-7. This is much more giving me vibes from their Knights game, which they lost 7-1 on, get this, Villa. I'm starting to see a common thread here, Raven. Maybe Villa is not a great map for Fury.
Might not be. Might not be. We'll see what they're like once they move to their attacks. One more defense round to go. But yes, you really would be thinking that in general, they should be the ones on that 4 side of the scoreboard here, looking for that as the par mark, but it's just not the case. And look, to Elevate's credit, they have been playing pretty well. Fairly clean. Did a great job then, just absolutely picking the pieces of Fury. They were hitting their shots tremendously. Flushed Fury out of the positions they needed to on site. They didn't even have to worry about clearing out space head below because they just got sights to themselves anyway. There's only so much a vertical player can do from below. So look, yeah, definitely don't want to overlook that Elevate are really delivering on what they need to here. And let's remember, Elevate are fighting for a spot in playoffs, so they definitely should be going hard like this.
Absolutely. Elevate only needs 1 point to be above Invictus. That is all that they need. 1 point to be... Actually, no, 1 point will tie them with Invictus, and in fact, there will be a 3-way tie between Knights, IG, and Elevate, but we talk to the admins, and then it will go to round difference, of which IG will be the team to miss out. So, as long as Elevate find 1 point from this game, they are locked into playoffs.
Certainly makes the next 2 rounds quite intense then if you're an IG fan or even an IG player, because that's all Elevate need to actually get even 1 point.
You know, in like those like medieval or fantasy movies, and then you know someone challenges like the king or the queen, and it's like, who will be my champion? Who will represent me in this fight to the death? That is Fury right now. Fury represent Invictus Gaming as their champion to fight for their spot in playoffs. Fury, you're now bolstered with all of the Invictus Gaming fans on your side. Elevate stand in IG's way for playoffs. Fury have nothing to win, nothing to lose from this match, but Elevate, they could choke yet another chance at making it to a playoffs or to a major if Fury can lock in a regulation win here.
Oh, Zapper almost picking up a little double there, but not quite hitting his shots.
Oh,
And
this is huge.
This is huge. Mopi, though, oh my god, he gets Sapper on the peak, but at least that frag grenade hits the mark. DCH steps through to pick up another. This is what we see so often, Dev. It's just like a single point. Elevate just pull that trigger, and they pick off the Fury players they need to be able to progress, and it's just like absolute clockwork.
Oh, another nade. Oh, Mr. Punch. Those nades certainly pack a punch. The logic bomb detonates from Onigiri, back on his favorite gun in the game. That's beautiful DMR. Producer Boom about to feel a whole lot of pressure. He must be standing on a mute jammer because his phone did not ring. The DCH puts him in the ground anyway, and a quick trade out. 3K on the round from Mr. Punch. That is Elevate's 5th round, if I'm not wrong.
You are not wrong, because that is the half. And that also means Elevate 1 round away now from unfortunately shutting out IG's dreams of playoffs for the stage. And I'm going to go back to the analogy you're making, Dev, about the whole, medieval putting a champion forward to defend them. A particular show demonstrated what it's like going up against the mountain, and that is actually perfect for this
Spoilers.
situation.
We're doing Game of Thrones spoilers now.
We are. And unfortunately, the mountain pretty hard to beat, quite dominating, and we're really seeing that exactly happen right now.
And if you have seen that particular TV show and that particular scene, you will know it's not over until it's over. It is not done until it is done. And this is the round that Elevate could book their tickets to the APAC playoffs, and they will continue playing Stage 1 next week. Otherwise, well, if Fury managed to come back, winning 6 rounds in a row, that's what it's going to have to take, Raven. 6 rounds in a row for Fury to keep Invictus in the playoffs and to knock Elevate out of contention. 6 rounds in a row for the team that is yet to find a single point on the standings. We have 7 000 in Direwolves. We could have 007 for Fury. It's like James Bond's strange cousin or something.
Something like that. Oh, but look, here we go. Fury on attack. Let's see what they've got. This could be the half for them to turn it around. And Hajime reprising the Jackal. So I see a lot more Jackal picks, actually. I feel like it's because it's just getting banned less. And I guess teams rediscovering what it's like to actually be able to use Jackal in competitive play.
Yeah, I mean, it helps when Elevate consistently ban Finker. You know you're going to have that Jackal up if you ban the Thatcher. Oh, Mopi! Doesn't quite land the shot he needed. Elevate on the defense. This is where they feel most comfortable. They can just hold on. They can play as aggressive or as passive as they like. And in a way, they can dictate the pace of these rounds, like getting up in their attackers' faces as Elevate are want to do. But now, after shooting quite a few drones, only 6 left for Fury, Elevate now fall back to site.
That's plenty of time for Fury to be able to progress this attack now. Need to start to clear out top of red though. Player kind of trying to be a nuisance around that position. Still hanging out on red as well. It is Mr. Punch, you can see here. He's going to drop all the way down. But important for Fury to continue this progressing. They need to take that 90 control. They need to start putting some pressure in around that skull door in towards Aviator. Otherwise, they start to risk running out of time and making it a bit squishy. But this is looking pretty good so far.
All right, 1 minute to go, and Fury, well, now they're going to have to deal with this mute jammer. Distinct lack of nades compared to Elevate, just the 2 on Mopey. We saw last round Mr. Punch get 2 kills with his 2 nades. Mopey, if he could just destroy that mute jammer, then he would be well worth it. Hajime goes downstairs and tries to shoot it off through the floor. A Twitch drone, meanwhile, finds some utility as well. Wow, that's cheeky from Onigiri. He denies a walkable hole using his impacts, and once again as well, that could keep Fury at bay.
30 seconds to go. Elevate in great positions. Mr. Punch opens the car.
Oh, this is it.
And this is it for Fury. 20 seconds to go.
This is the round where Elevate could lock in their chance at playoffs. IG fans look on in awe, hoping that Fury can do it, but Mr. Punch, he's there, and he's on for the flank. Sapper for a double. It's nothing but Spacehead, and mate, everyone is looking the wrong way. Elevate find themselves match point, and just like that, they are locked in for APAC playoffs in stage 1. Invictus Gaming, their hopes have been dashed, and IG, well, perhaps not to celebrate too prematurely. Still a couple more rounds to play here. But they can rest easy knowing that the pressure is off.
I certainly can. And Elevate, it's got one more round to close this one out, and they can actually celebrate what's going on here. Fury, though, unfortunately, look, they really struggled on that attack. Elevate did a great job. In particular, was Mark stood up in particular key moments there of the execute phase to shut down Fury. It was a really good job, and Fury just haven't had the answers for what Elevate have been trying to do in this game. And of course, Elevate are going to be going hard. They wanted to get to playoffs, mission accomplished. But yeah, Fury, I think this game sums up their stage. You know, it's just been an absolute struggle.
Now I guess we can start discussing our feelings going into playoffs. Elevate, they've now locked themselves in. Believe the final standings will look, I think that they're going to sit above the Knights. So Knights actually going to end up in 4th. Obviously, Direwolves locked in number 1. And, well, even if Elevate now win this outright, I believe they will actually take seconds. They will be above the Chiefs. Obviously, we'll go through everything in the post-game desk. But I feel like Elevate, they are good enough. Just, are they going to make it all the way to the major? Time to just finish off Fury and, well, prove their fans that the major should be no trouble for them.
Certainly hope so. Stage is certainly set for an exciting APAC playoffs as always. Can't wait to talk more about that as we progress here. But of course, Elevate do need to still close this one out. 6-1's the scoreline, so shouldn't be too challenging for them considering how the previous rounds have played out, but you never quite know what could happen. Stranger things have certainly happened in Siege, I can tell you that much.
All right, Elevate, waiting game. It's on Fury now to step up. 3 players on the master balcony, 1 minute down. Time to make some progress. Hard breach the wall. We saw how easily Elevate found doing that. This is Onigiri is here with impact grenades, and we've seen how he can deny hard breach with that. Flashes come over. And DCH gets an aggressive pick. No way, like Callers. I know he's a sub, but man, you can't do him like that. Elevate are speed running their way to the end of the APAC South regular stage. Minute 25, and we could be all wrapped up.
Certainly could. Mr. Punch knows there's a player just outside that window trying to play the cheeky position to get it, but shoots the drone and backs away. Fury still have just over a minute to play though. Got some positioning in around Master, but they haven't been able to breach in towards Statue, so that means that there is still freedom for Elevate on site here. You can see Onigiri playing comfortably behind that shield. Spacehead though has been able to take out Mark. It does make things a little bit more manageable here for Fury.
50 seconds. Fury do have a player disadvantage, but these flashes might be able to further that advantage if they can swing in and take down Onigiri. But Onigiri, he does eventually fall. There's Spacehead, but he gets timed in the crossfire. He goes down. DCH now in Astro as Lycolis and Producer Boom try and salvage Fury's stage. They have not won a single match, and it looks like that may go down in history as statistically the worst stage of any team in APAC South. Producer Boom is gone. Elevate, dominate, 7-1. Fury are gone, and Elevate will march through to the playoffs.
They certainly will. It was a strong showing for them, and always felt that they were going to be able to show up. They needed to win this to get to playoffs, and they made sure that was never in doubt. It was a really good performance overall, and really excited to see what Elevate can do as they progress through playoffs.